our second chapter of class 11 physics, that is units and measurements. In the last video we had discussed about the physical quantities, their types, units and their types. We had seen 7 fundamental physical quantities and their units. We had seen different system of units. So we had seen the 7 fundamental quantities that were mass, length, time, temperature, electric current, amount of substance and luminous intensity, right? So apart from that 7 fundamental quantities, that is SI units, we are having another quantities and their units, that is the supplementary quantities and their units. So first of all, in this video we are going to discuss about the supplementary quantities and their units. So there are actually 2 supplementary quantities. The first is the plane angle and second is solid angle. So first we will discuss about the plane angle. Now see, here the word plane, when we talk about plane, that means it is a planar surface, right? If you see this board, you can consider this as a plane, right? Why it is called as plane? Because it is 2-dimensional. 2-dimension means it will be having only 2 dimensions, that is the length and the width, right? So plane, that means we are dealing with 2 dimensions, and angle we are already knowing, we have already studied in mathematics that it is nothing but when 2 lines intersect at a point where this point is called as vertex, it will be making an angle. Okay, so over here in physics, this plane angle means we will be taking a circle, right? And let the center of the circle be O. And taking some portion of this circle, that means if we take only this much portion, which we call it as arc. Arc is nothing but a portion of the circumference of the circle. That is like me writing as A and B. Arc AB. And joining the point A to O and B to O. So from this circle we have taken this much portion. So as you can see, from the arc, that is from A to B, from up to this distance, I have taken a line and joined up to the center O, that is from A to O and B to O. This particular portion of the circle, it will be making an angle. Let me say it as d theta, and let these arcs be written as ds. See, why we are writing D in physics, now you have to note down this, that whenever we write D in front of any alphabet, that is for any symbol, that it will be denoting small element. That means here we have taken ds, where S stands for what? It stands for the surface of the circle, and we are taking only a small portion of this circumference of the circle. So it is taken as ds, that is the small elemental surface. And here d theta, that means we have taken a small angle. So here d theta is equal to r AB upon, now you can see, from this center of the circle to this point, or center of the circle to this point. From center to any point on the circle, that can be considered as radius, right? So let us denote from O to B, that length is r, and the length of OA is equal to r, that is the radius of the circle. So d theta is equals to r AB upon r. This is nothing but plane angle. D theta over here is plane angle. So you can define this from this formula, that plane angle is the theta denotes the plane angle. Plane angle is, here we are having numerator and denominator, so we can define it as ratio of the, here ds denotes what? It denotes the arc of the circle. That is, plane angle is the ratio of the arc, the length of the arc to the radius. That is the definition of the plane angle, and its unit is radian, and its symbol is RAD. As we have discussed in the 7 fundamental physical quantities, its units and its symbol, in the same way, the plane angle can be denoted by d theta. You can also denote it by theta. Its unit is radian and its symbol is written as RAD. Okay. Now this radian word is familiar to you, right? As we are taking the whole circle makes the angle of 360 degree. If I take a circle from this point O, if I take this angle, you know it makes 90 degree angle, right? If I take the diametrically opposite points, this whole angle makes 180 degree. You can also write it as 2 pi radian. We can denote it in terms of degree, and we can denote it in terms of radian also. So we can write it as 180 degree, or else you can write it as 2 pi, pi radian. If we take the whole circle, then its angle, that is from this point A again back to A, it will make 360 degree, or you can write it as 2 pi radian, right? That you are already knowing. Now see, if I write 360 degree is equals to 2 pi radian, right? Then taking 360 over here in this side, then it will be coming in the denominator. Then I can write 1 degree is equals to 360 is taken over here. So we can write 2 pi upon 360 radian, right? And if we cut this, we will be having pi upon 180. So this is very important, and you need to note it down that 1 degree is equals to what we are having now, pi upon 180 radian. So 1 degree is equals to pi upon 180 radian. Okay. Next we are having solid angle, right? Now as you have seen here, plane, that means we are dealing with 2 dimensions. When we come to this word that is solid, it means we are dealing with 3 dimensions. That means you are seeing a cube, right? It will be having 3 dimensions. If we talk about this class, or else let me take this duster. If I take this duster, it is called as 3-dimensional object. Why? Because it is having height, it is having width, and it is having this length. Height, width, and length. So it is having 3 dimensions. In any 3-dimensional object, we will be having 3 dimensions, that is length, breadth, and its height. Okay. So here solid is considered as the 3 dimension. So here for a plane we have taken the circle, and for the solid, if we consider a sphere, let us take the example of a ball, right? Then from that ball, suppose this is a sphere and its center is taken as O, right? Then taking some portion of this sphere and cutting it up to its center. So as you are cutting the cake, right? Then if you take that piece of the a portion like this. In the same way, if we cut a portion from the sphere, like this, then the surface of the sphere that we are cutting, that area, that intercepted area, let us remove it as delta A. Again, from any surface of the sphere, from that point up to the center, it will be again radius. Here if I take A, B, C, D, let this area be A, B, C, D. Then from point A to O, that will be radius. From B to O, that will be radius. From C to O, that will also be radius. And from B to O, that will also be radius, right? So, at the angle, this will again make the angle for the solid object, that is the sphere. And that angle, let me denote it as DO, right? And here, as I said, this intercepted area, that is taken as delta A. This is R, that is the radius. Then the solid angle can be defined as, here the angle is DO equals to the area that we are cutting. Here we have taken the arc, and here we are taking the area, that is the surface area that we are cutting from the sphere, and that surface area is delta A upon R square. When we are talking about the plane angle, we are just taking the radius in the denominator, and we are taking the solid angle. When we are talking about the solid angle, when we are taking the three-dimensional object, then in the denominator we need to take the square of the radius. So from this formula, we can define the solid angle. That the solid angle is the ratio of, here delta A stands for what? It stands for the intercepted area of the sphere to the square of the radius. Here R stands for radius. So the solid angle is the ratio of intercepted area of the sphere to the square of the radius. Okay. It is sometimes denoted as simply ohm. As I have said, in plane angle, it can be denoted as d theta, or it will be denoted as theta in some modes. And over here, for solid angle, in some modes it is denoted as d ohm, and it can also be denoted as simply ohm. Okay. So we have talked about the solid angle, what it is, and its unit is steradian. Its unit is steradian, and its symbol is SR. So this is about the plane angle. Let me make the definition. For plane angle, it is the ratio of ds, that is the length of the arc, to the, what we are having in the denominator, r, that is the radius. And for the solid angle, its definition is, it is the ratio of what we are having in numerator, that is the intercepted area of what? That is of the sphere to what we are having in the denominator, square of the radius, that is to the square of the radius. the most important thing that you need to remember even for the MCQs, that is the plane angle and solid angle are such quantities which are dimensionless, right? Its unit for plane angle is radian, unit for solid angle is t-radian, but they are dimensionless. This is the most important thing you need to note down. So you may copy down this formula and as well as this definitions. Okay, now we will discuss about the next topic, that is measurement of length. See, length you are usually measuring with the help of scale that you are familiar with, right? But it is not always possible to measure the length with the scale only. So to measure the length, there are two different methods, that is the direct method and the indirect method. What is indirect method, that we will be talking later on. But first of all, let us discuss what is direct method. Direct method means we will be having the instrument to measure it directly, right? You are having scale with you, so you can measure it. If you want to measure this top, you can put the scale over here and you can measure it directly. If you want to measure the length of the book, you will be keeping the scale on the book and you will be measuring its length. So direct method is nothing but it is a technique in which you are having the instrument that you can use to measure it directly, right? So one of the instrument, let me write this, instruments are available to measure directly, and that you can consider as the direct method. And one of the instruments that you are knowing, that is your meter scale, right? And meter scale can measure from 10 raised to minus 3 to 10 raised to 2 meter, right? That is from 0.1 centimeter to 10 raised to meter. If you want to measure the length, you can use your meter scale. And next instrument, which you are not familiar with right now, but when you will go for the practical in the laboratory, you will be seeing 3 different instruments that we will be talking about in this video, and we will be using that in your practical for the measurement of the length. That is vernier calipers, and that you can measure up to 10 raised to minus 4 meter. Now see, why we are using vernier calipers, right? It is not always possible to measure with the meter scale because it has some limitation. That is, it can measure from 0.1 centimeter to 10 raised to 2 meter. But if we want to measure less than 0.1 meter, 0.1 centimeter, then what? We cannot use the meter scale at that time. So we will be using vernier calipers, right? Here 10 raised to minus 4 meter, right? If we convert it, we will be talking about the conversions in the later lectures. But for this, let me tell you how to convert. 10 raised to minus 4 written as it is, meter is written as 10 raised to 2 centimeter. So it becomes minus 4 plus 2, so that is 10 raised to minus 2 centimeter. So that can be written as 0.01 centimeter. So the limitation of the meter scale that can be measuring from 0.1 centimeter only, that can be dealt with this vernier caliper. That is, it can measure from 0.01 centimeter, right? So taking small measurement, you can use the vernier caliper, that is 0.01 centimeter. Okay, the next instrument is micrometer screw gauge. and the spirometer, and it can measure 10 raised to minus 5 meter. If we convert that, then 10 raised to minus 5, 1 meter is equals to 10 raised to 2 centimeter. So to convert the meter into centimeter, we are having minus 5 plus 2, that is 10 raised to minus 3 centimeter. That can be written as 0.001 centimeter. So there is a limitation in vernier calipers that it can measure up to 0.01 centimeter, and that drawback is overcome by this instrument, that is it can measure from 0.001 centimeter. As for example, if I want to measure this width of this duster, right? So if I measure with this meter scale, then I would get approximately 2.4 or 2.5 centimeter, right? But if I take vernier calipers, then I will be getting the accurate value compared to this meter scale. I will be getting maybe 2.52 centimeter, right? And if I want more accurate than this, then I will be using this meter screw gauge, right? So actually meter screw gauge and spirometer is used to measure very small dimensions. That is, with the help of meter screw gauge, we can measure even the thickness of the wire, and that you will be having in your practical. So for small measurements, we will be using micrometer screw gauge, spirometer, and for the large measurements compared to the micrometer screw gauge, we will be using vernier calipers. And for even large measurement compared to this vernier calipers, we can take the meter scale. So we are having these different instruments to measure the length directly, and so it is called as direct method. Now second method is the indirect method. See, in direct method we were using instruments for the measurement of the length of different materials, right? But here in indirect method means there is no instrument to measure the length of any material directly. So it is called as indirect method. That means certain methods or techniques are used for the measurement of length instead of the instrument. Now see, in what case we can use techniques instead of instrument? See, if we want to measure the distance between the planet and the star, right? We cannot make such large instrument. In that case, instrument is not possible for the measurement of the large distance. It is not possible practically. So we need to use the method to measure such large distances, right? So for the measurement of large distances, certain methods are used, and that method is called as indirect method, or it is also called as parallax method. Okay, indirect method, why it is called that we understood, because we are not using instrument, we are using techniques instead. So it is called as indirect method, or we can also call it as parallax method. So first of all, we need to understand what the word parallax is, right? So if I take this chalk and close my left eye and see with the right eye, and notice the position of this chalk at the background, and again opening the left eye and closing the right eye, seeing the chalk and again noting that position of the chalk on the background, what I observe is the position of the chalk when observed from left eye and when observed from right eye, it is different. and that change in the position when observed from two different observation points, it is called as parallax. You can try it at your home. Take any of the object and observe with two different observation points. That means observe it with both of your eyes one by one. First take your left eye and take right eye or whatever face, but see it with one eye only, one by one, and you will notice that the position of the material that you are observing is not the same both the times, and that change in the position when viewed from two different observation points is called as parallax. Change in the position of the object when viewed from different observation point is called parallax. The position of the object, that means the object which is being viewed, and the observation point here what you are taking, that is your eye, right? And the distance between the two observation points, that is the distance between your eyes, that is called as basis. So I hope it is clear now that the change in the position of the object when it is viewed from two different observation points, it is called as parallax, and that you will be having more clarification when you will be performing the practical of lenses in class 12, right? You need to remove the parallax over there in the lens practical. Okay, not going in detail with that, but now see, you understood what is parallax method or what is indirect method. Indirect method, certain techniques are used. Parallax method means the object is viewed from different observation points. Now let us see how the large distances are being measured. How the distances are distances between the planets or distances between the planets and other celestial objects. Let us see it as star. It is so, as I said, parallax method is for measurement of large distances, that is distances between the celestial objects, or you can also determine the size of the planet with the help of this parallax method. Now let us see how to apply this parallax method. So consider a Earth and assume that you want to see a planet far away from this Earth, right? So you need to take two observation points to observe the far away object, that is to observe the planet. Okay, so here we will be taking two observation points A and B, and these A and B are the observation points which are the ends of the diameter. So it should be diametrically opposite, right? And from this point B, I need to observe this planet, and from point O, again I need to observe this planet. Let me consider this planet as S, right? So distance from this planet to this observation point B, that is B. Again distance from observation point A that we have taken as the end points of the diameter of the earth. So this AB is nothing but it is the diameter of the earth, and let it be denoted as B, right? Okay. As we had seen in plane angle, right? If you consider this point RAB, right? And if you take this point, that is the planet, as the center, then you can apply the formula of the plane angle. Let this angle made by AS and BS it be theta, right? So if I take these as the center and the whole circle, then this AB is considered as the arc of the whole circle. I hope you are understanding this. If this is a planet S and this is your AB, if you take this as the center of the circle and these as the whole circle, then this AB is the arc of this circle, and taking only this small portion, right? And these makes an angle theta. So you can apply the plane angle formula over here, right? That is, what was the formula for the plane angle? That is d theta is equals to length of the arc. In that case we had written ds upon r, where r was the radius. In this case what we are having, the distance between B and S or A and S, that is again the same length, that is the radius. Here we are taking as capital D, that is distance between the observation point and the planet. So in this sense we can apply this plane angle formula, right? Again here this is the planet, this is the earth. We need to determine the distance between the earth and the planet. So how we are going to measure the distance? That we will be applying this parallax method. We will be applying the plane angle formula over here by taking S as the center of the circle and taking this diameter, that is AB, as the arc of the whole circle for which S is the center. So angle over here, that is theta, which is also called as parallax angle or parallax angle. Theta is equals to arc. Here arc is what? It is nothing but length AB upon the radius. Over here it is the distance between AS or BS, that is capital B. First let me write it as AS. So theta is equals to AB is equals to small b upon AS is equals to capital D. So we can use the plane angle formula over here, and this theta over here is parallax angle, B over here is diameter of the earth, B over here is distance between the earth and the planet. So I hope you got this. Parallax method is indirect method in which you will be using certain technique for the measurement of large distances. Large distances means such large distances, that is the distances between the celestial objects. Here we are considering the distance between the earth and the planet. And theta is equals to, here we are applying the formula of the plane angle, taking this as the center of the whole circle. So theta is equals to AB upon AS, where AB is nothing but the diameter of the earth and AS is the distance between the earth and the planet. Okay. This is the parallax method. So not only we can measure the distance between the two objects, as I have discussed over here, I have already written, we can also measure the size of the planet. Size of the planet, that means here, when we are saying size of the planet, we can determine the diameter of the planet. So how can we determine the diameter of the planet? If we are knowing this quantity, we are having the measurement of d and we are knowing the parallactic angle, then we can get the diameter of the earth, measurement of the diameter of the earth. If we are knowing this b and d, that is if we know the diameter of the earth and if we know the distance between the earth and the other planet or the star or any celestial object, then we can get the parallactic angle, right? Theta. One thing that is important, that is b upon d ratio. This b upon d ratio is very much small. Why it is very much small? Because here the angle is very much small. Why? Because the distance between the two celestial objects that we are going to measure, that is very large, and when we are viewing a far away object, a large distance object, then the angle that is made from the observation point will be very small. Because these distances are very large, the angle made by these two lines will be very small, and for that reason b upon d is very much less than 1, or you can say theta is very much small. So remember this now. What is important is this figure, this formula, and you need to mention these terms. What is theta, what is b, what is capital D. Suppose we want to measure the size, molecular size of the oleic acid. That is estimation of molecular size of oleic acid. Oleic acid is nothing but a soapy liquid. It is nothing but a soapy liquid. So how can we estimate the size of the molecule of a soapy liquid? So first of all, we need to take 1 cubic centimeter of oleic acid plus 20 cubic centimeter of alcohol and make a solution. So we get 20 cubic centimeter of solution. From this solution, take 1 cubic centimeter of this solution plus again 20 cubic centimeter alcohol. So it will form again 20 cubic centimeter of concentrated solution. Now see, first we have taken 1 cubic centimeter of oleic acid and that we had dissolved in 20 cubic centimeter of alcohol. From this solution that is prepared, we are taking again 1 cubic centimeter of this solution and we are dissolving that into this 20 cubic centimeter of alcohol. So a 20 cubic centimeter of solution is again prepared. So what will be the concentration of 1 cubic centimeter of oleic acid? So the concentration of oleic acid, that is equals to 1 upon 20 into 20. Oleic acid per centimeter cube. This is the concentration of oleic acid. Now what we need to do next is take a trough which is filled with the water and the surface of the powder, on the surface of the water, lycopodium powder is to be sprinkled, and on that we need to spread a drop of this oleic acid concentration. From this solution we need to take one drop, and that drop is to be put on the surface which is created by the lycopodium powder on the water. Okay, so what happens when we put a drop of the oleic acid over here, then that oleic acid will be spread on the surface, creating a thin circular film. And when a thin circular film is formed on it, then we need to take the measurement. Then we need to quickly measure the diameter of that almost circular film. In this way, we can get the size of the oleic acid. Now suppose we take n drops of this solution and let V be the volume of each drop. Then the volume of the n drops will be what? Thus, the volume of n number of drops will be equal to NV centimeter cube or cubic centimeter. So the amount of oleic acid in this solution will be what? We have already seen the concentration of oleic acid in this solution, that is 1/20 into 20 per centimeter cube. So if you are taking n number of drops and the volume of one drop, that is V, then the amount of oleic acid in this solution, that will be NV upon 20 into 20. Okay, so we got the amount of oleic acid in this solution, right? Now we know that volume is equals to what? That is area into thickness, right? So thickness is equals to what? Volume upon area, and volume, that is what? The volume of the oleic acid solution, that is NV 20 into 20 into area A. So we can get the thickness of this oleic acid solution. When we put n number of drops and spread it on the lycopodium powder, which is sprinkled on the water surface, then that layer will be spreading very fast, and we can estimate the thickness of that film, that circular film, and we can get the thickness, we can get the area of this